So I just realized how dark it was, and I decided to turn on the light. So chapter, the end of chapter 4, we're getting this idea that he is left alone with the consciousness that his life was poisoned and was poisoning the lives of others, and that this poison did not weaken but penetrated more and more deeply into his whole being. And so we get this question of how does the physical and the psychological connect? How do those two things impact each other? And obviously he's physically unwell, but on top of it, it's affecting his interactions with others. Okay, and then we get into this idea of deception, which I think is really interesting. He gets his first thoughts about death on page 16. He says it's not a question of appendix or kidney, but of life and death. Yes, life was there and now it is going, and I cannot stop it. Yes, why deceive myself? Isn't it obvious to everyone but me that I'm dying and that it's only a question of days, weeks? It may happen at any moment. There was light and now there is darkness. I was here and now I'm going there. Where? A chill came over him as breathing ceased and he felt only the throbbing of his heart. So his first thoughts of death are really shocking to him, and he realizes that other people may have been thinking about his own death and he hasn't. And now he is like really angry about the idea of dying. Terror, furious, really important words that get used there. At the beginning of chapter 6, we get this despair about dying, and then we get the syllogism, Case Witter's logic, which is Caius is a man, men are mortal, and therefore Caius is mortal. Which is, basically there are two premises, and when you add those two premises together, they lead to a logical conclusion. So Caius is man, man is mortal, therefore Caius is mortal. Well, that's great in theory and all, but then replace Caius with even Ilyich. Even Ilyich is man, man is mortal, therefore even Ilyich is mortal. That's his problem. He realizes very suddenly that he's going to die. And that it's not just in some like philosophical sense, yes, we're all going to die one day, but like he could really die. Page 17b, Caius really was mortal, and it was right for him to die. But for me, little Vanya, even Ilyich, with all my thoughts and emotions, it's altogether a different matter. It cannot be that I ought to die. That would be too terrible. So he's really starting to come to terms with, or at least think about, I shouldn't say come to terms with, but really thinking about the reality of his own death and how that's going to affect him. And he starts having these thoughts, and he wants to control them. And so 17b, he could not understand it and tried to drive this false, incorrect, morbid thought away and to replace it by other proper and healthy thoughts. So we go back to this idea of propriety, which is it's improper to think about death. We need to be thinking about, like, I don't know, curtains and dinner parties and that kind of thing, which how effective has that been in his life so far? Maybe not super successful. And is it on that page? No. It's on 18 where we get it. I think this idea of what is it. It would come and stand before him and look at him. It alone was true. What was worst of all was that it drew his attention to itself, not in order to make him take some action, but only that he should look at it straight in the face, look at it, and without doing anything, suffer inexpressibly. So I don't want to tell you exactly what it is. I want you to think about it for a little bit and just kind of put it into your own words. What is it that even Ilyich is really struggling with? By chapter 7, we find out that he's been sick for 3 months. He's not getting any relief even from morphine and opium. And he's having to get help from Gerasim, who's a really interesting character. The interaction between Ivan Ilyich and Gerasim is interesting because it's a total contrast to how he is with Praskovia Fedorovna, his wife. Why is he so much more comfortable being like more human with Gerasim than he is with Praskovia Fedorovna? And then there's this idea of lying and pity. And these are all just such really interesting, important ideas. And this goes beyond just literature and more to what it means to be human. And that's where I'm going to leave you. So those are the things that I really want you to be thinking about for chapters 3 through 7. We have his very like common bourgeoisie life. We have this idea of what he can and can't do once he's sick, propriety, the fact that Praskovia Fedorovna just annoys him, and the fact that Gerasim seems to give him some comfort. And part of the comfort Gerasim gives him is through the pity. How is the pity that he gets from Gerasim versus Praskovia Fedorovna different? And then the ideas of like lying and propriety and all that stuff. So, really interesting ideas at work here. We will talk about those more on Monday. I haven't decided yet whether I want to talk about everything together separately, but if you guys have any questions, let me know. I hope you had a really awesome Thanksgiving, and I look forward to seeing you on Monday. Bye.